Okay, thank you, sir. So our next speaker is Kaushik Dehengia, and so Kaushik, are you here? Kaushik?
Yes, ma'am, I am present.
Yeah. So
He's not available.
just share
Yeah,
your screen.
available.
Yes, yes. So can I share my screen?
Share your screen now.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So is it visible, ma'am?
Yes. Yes. So okay. So just go in the starting. I think. Yes.
Wait. So good
Fine. Yes.
afternoon,
So
everyone.
yes. We
Yes,
start.
ma'am. Am I
Yes.
audible, ma'am?
Yes. Yes. You are. Yes.
Okay, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Kaushik Dehingia from Guwahati University. Today, I am going to present a paper entitled "Of Bifurcation Analysis of a Tumor Immune Interaction Delay Differential Model." So, at the very beginning of the presentation, I want to give few introductory information related to the work. So, basically, a tumor originates from any part of the body through the abnormal growth of a single cell. A tumor may have a spreading tendency. Depending upon the spreading tendency, a tumor has three types. The tumors which have no spreading tendency and slow growth rate are called benign. They are not cancerous. There are some benign tumors which may potentially become cancerous through the uncontrollable growth of abnormal cells. Such tumors are referred to as pre-malignant tumors. Malignant tumors are made up of cancer cells and proliferate, hence it has high spreading tendency. Cancer cells are developed through four stages: initiation, promotion, progression, and malignant conversion. So during these four stages, a large number of cellular interactions occur in tumor immune interactions. Many cells, such as natural killer cells, CD4 plus T cells, CD8 plus T cells, interleukin 2, and various types of chemokines, cytokines, proteins participate in this phenomenon. And different types of immune cells are responsible for the elimination process of cancer at the various stages of cancer development. So the development of cancer in the human body involves a huge cell-to-cell interaction, and many research papers describe this complex interaction with the help of mathematical models. Because a mathematical model gives an appropriate insight into the interaction of the tumor immune system and also its dynamics in the presence of drugs. So the primary aims of the present study are: so we have investigated the model proposed by Peng et al. Model, introducing delay term for anti-tumor immune response of matured T lymphocytes to destroy tumor cells. Next, we have performed the qualitative analysis of a proposed time delay tumor immune interaction model. And the last one is existence of Hop bifurcation of the considered model around the coaxial equilibrium is investigated. The description of the considered model are as follows. Cytotoxic T lymphocytes are the most important cells in the immune system and capable of killing the tumor cells through kinetic processes. However, it is important to note that the tumor cells can also compete with T lymphocytes and make them functionally inactive. Also, tumor cells secrete cytokines which are responsible for tumor cells proliferation. As a result, eradication of tumor cells becomes difficult for T lymphocytes, and a time delay occurs for deactivation of tumor cells by T lymphocytes. This time delay is regarded as an interaction and stimulation delay of the tumor immune system, and we account for this time delay in the Peng et al. Model, and we modify the Peng et al. Model into a delay system as follows. The first equation gives the dynamics of the immature T lymphocytes, where L1 is the L1 denotes the densities of immature T lymphocytes. The second equation of the system is the dynamics of the mature T lymphocytes, where L2 denotes the densities of the mature T lymphocytes at any time tau. And the third equation describes the dynamics of the tumor cells, and the T denotes the densities of the tumor cells at any time tau. So here is the description of the terms in the system. In the first equation of 1, the first term mu describes the fixed production rate of immature T lymphocytes by the body in the absence of tumor cells. The second term of the second term lambda 1 L1 tau is used for describing the transformation rate of immature T lymphocytes to mature T lymphocytes. And the third term, alpha 1 T tau minus delta L2 tau minus delta divided by eta plus T tau minus delta, describes the recruitment term of anti-tumor immune response, where alpha 1 is the maximum recruitment rate. and eta is the half saturation constant. Here delta represents discrete time delay factor added for interaction and stimulation delay of the tumor immune system. The second equation describes the dynamics of the mature T lymphocytes, where I have already told, where alpha T is the inactivation rate of T lymphocytes. And the third equation designates the rate of change of tumor cells, in which tumor cells can grow exponentially in the absence of immune response, where lambda 2 is the exponential tumor growth. The term alpha 2 T minus tau minus delta, T into tau minus T of tau minus delta, and L2 of tau minus delta describes the interaction between tumor and mature T lymphocytes, where alpha 2 is the rate of tumor cells killed by the mature T lymphocytes. So for the sake of discussion, we normalize the system 1 by using non-dimensional variables and parameters and get a normalized form as this: dx by dt equal to minus of x plus y t minus delta z t minus delta divided by 1 plus z t minus delta, and dy by dt equal to a1x minus a2y plus a3, and dz by dt minus dz by dt is equal to f4z minus y t minus delta z t minus delta with the initial history this. Equation 3. So before going to analyze the model, we have first done the qualitative analysis of the model, and this theorem states that the solution xt yt zt of the system 2 is non-negative under the non-negative initial conditions phi I equal to 1 2 3 defined on 0 to infinity. Okay, the proof of this theorem is very tedious. We use the lemma Young et al. To prove the solution of the system is positive or throughout the region R3. So next we find the equilibrium states of the normalized system 2 and get the following results. So here we have the system has three equilibrium points, which E naught as is 0 comma 0 comma 0 as trivial equilibrium, E1 0 comma A3 by A2 comma 0 as tumor free, and which is always exist, and E2 A2 A4 minus A3 divided by A1 F4 comma A4, and A2 A4 minus A3 divided by A3 plus A1 A4 minus A2 A4 as coaxial equilibrium. And for A3 greater than A2 A4, the tumor free equilibrium E1 is always exist. There exists only one equilibrium E1 for A2 greater than A1 and 0 less than A3 less than A2 minus A1 whole into A4. And for A2 less than A1 and 0 less than A3 less than A2 A4, both two equilibria E1 and E2 exist. And for A2 greater than A1 and A2 minus A1 into A4, less than A3 less than A2 A4, both two equilibria E1 and E2 exist. So after getting equilibrium states, I have performed local stability at each of the equilibrium point. And for this, we calculate the Jacobian matrix of the system 2 as follows. This is the Jacobian matrix of the system 2 and get some stability results. So the no living cell fixed point, that means the trivial equilibrium E naught is stable if F4 less than 0. And the eigenvalue and the tumor free equilibrium, that is tumor free fixed point E1 is stable if A3 greater than A2 A4, otherwise it is unstable. And for the case of A2 greater than A1 and 0 less than A3 less than A2 minus A1 whole into A4, the fixed point E1 is saddle focus point with two negative eigenvalues and one positive eigenvalue. So now we investigated the dynamical behavior of the system 2 around the coaxial fixed point E2 under the influence of discrete time like delta. In this case, the eigenvalues of the Jacobian matrix can be found from the equation 7. So this equation gives the eigenvalues of the Jacobian matrix around the equilibrium point E2. And for the case of no time like delta equal to 0, the equation 7 becomes this equation 8. And using Rauch-Hurwitz criteria, we get some stability results where E2 is asymptotically stable if these conditions holds. Okay, now we shall analyze the dynamical behavior of system for time lag delta not equal to 0. So for this, we assume that there exists a purely imaginary root of 7, and hence we substitute lambda equal to Im, where I is an imaginary number, into 7, and separating real and imaginary parts, and we get these two equations. And using method of cross multiplications, we solve both equation of 10 and get equation number 7. 10 m delta equal to c minus d divided by e plus f, where c is equal to this, d is equal to this, e equal to this, and f equal to this. And by squaring and adding both sides of equation number 10, we get m to the power 6 plus p naught m to the power 4 plus p1 m square plus p2 equal to 0, where p naught, p1 and p2 are these. And the equation 12 will have a positive root if p naught is greater than 0, p2 is less than 0. Okay. And now suppose m not be a unique non-negative root of equation 12, so that 7 has a pair of purely imaginary roots of the form plus minus I m naught. Then from equation 11, the time lag delta can be expressed as this: delta k equal to 1 by m naught arc 10 c naught minus d naught divided by e naught plus f naught plus 2 is twice k pi divided by m naught, where k equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, delta, where c naught, d naught, e naught are e naught, f naught are given by this equation, this expression. Therefore, we get some results. Therefore, the coaxial equilibrium E2 is locally asymptotically stable under the conditions 9. Okay, under these conditions, the coaxial equilibrium is asymptotically stable for delta k equal to 0. So this point will also remain stable for delta k less than delta naught, where delta k equal to delta naught at k equal to 0, and which is gives a Bartas lemma. And this suggests that for delta k greater than delta naught, the coexisting equilibrium E2 is unstable. So this implies that tumor cell can proliferate more fast if the interaction of the interaction time is small, and the system loses their stability at E2, where the interaction time is large. Okay. Uh, Next, we have performed the Hopf bifurcation analysis. So as the equation 7 has a complex root of the form lambda equal to I m naught, this implies that the system may undergoes a Hopf bifurcation at delta equal to delta equal to delta k around the equilibrium E2. So for this, we have verified that the system is satisfied the transversality condition d of real lambda divided by d lambda d delta at delta equal to delta k is greater than 0, and we get the following results. The coaxial equilibrium E2 is asymptotically stable if delta belongs to close interval 0, delta k open interval, and unstable if delta greater than delta k, and Hopf bifurcation occurs around E2 if delta equal to delta k. Okay, and we have performed also numerical analysis for verification of our analytical findings. So first, we plot the bifurcation diagram of varying the parameter a1. So here, this is the bifurcation diagram when we vary the parameter a1. Here the parameter values used: a1 equal to 0.3, a2 equal to 0.6, a3 equal to 4, a4 equal to 10, and delta equal to 0.05. The red curves represents the stability of the stable curve of the, that means system 2, and the black curves represents the that means unstable steady state branches, and the green curve represents the Hopf bifurcation curve. That means at this point the system exhibits stable to unstable behavior. Okay. Next, we have draw the figure 2, in this we have draw the bifurcation diagram for the parameter a2. Here we have used the values as a1 equal to 0.3, a2 equal to 0.6, a3 equal to 4, a4 equal to 10, and delta equal to 0.05. So after discussing the effects of A1 and A2, on generating the limit cycle solution, we need to investigate the how interplay between the two parameters A1 and A2 can alter these oscillations. So next, we have draw a two parameter bifurcation plot. This is the in x-axis is A1 and y-axis has A2. So here we have seen that the system 2 exhibits oscillations outside the cutoff of the model 2 only has a single stable and steady state, and in the absence of A1 or A2, the system cannot generate limit cycle oscillation. Okay, for the more so this is the main results of this paper. This is a result. Next, we have done the bifurcation diagram for A2 and A3. This is a Hopf bifurcation diagram for A2 and A3. And after this, we perform the Hopf bifurcation diagram for A1 and delta. Next, we have drawn a Hopf bifurcation diagram for A2 and delta. This is Hopf bifurcation diagram for A3 and delta. And this is the Hopf bifurcation diagram for A4 and delta. So we have performed the Hopf bifurcation analysis for bifurcation diagram for each of the parameter. So, and we get that suitable parameter values often give a meaningful biological scenarios of the system too. Therefore, we perform some numerical simulations also for better understanding of our analytical and bifurcation treatment. So we consider different values of the parameters and the delay factor delta to observe biologically plausible different dynamical scenarios of the model, which is enough to mathematically study. So figure 9, this is the time evaluation curve and three-dimensional phase portrait for the system of the parameter values a1 equal to 0.3, a2 equal to 0.6, a3 equal to 4.0, a4 equal to 10.0, and delta equal to 0.01. So here we have seen that the tumor cells, this is tumor cells, Z represents the tumor cells. So the tumor cells can grow when increases its time. And the figure 10 also we have done the time evolution curve and three-dimensional phase portrait of the system for the parameter values a1 equal to 0.3, a2 equal to 0.6, a3 equal to 4.0, a4 equal to 10.0, and delta equal to 0.05. Here we have also seen that the tumor cells also grow, increase, and periodic oscillations occurs. Okay. So in figure 11, again same type of figure we draw in figure 11 and figure 12. But in figure 12 we have seen, but in figure 11 we have seen that the system gets stable position, and in figure 12 the system gets unstable position with periodic periodic oscillations. Okay. So in figure 15 and 16, so here we have seen that sorry, in figure 13 and 14, here we have seen that the tumor cells gets unstable in nature, and in figure 15 and 16 the system gets stable position with tumor cells 0. So the main conclusion of the paper is this, that we investigate the dynamical behavior of the modified Peng-Adot model with introducing the time delay factor, and our bifurcation analysis and numerical simulations reveal that a careful selection of the model's parameter must be obtained so that the stable steady state loses its stability. So these are the bibliography which I use for the paper, and thank you for listening my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Kaushik. So, is there any question or comments from anyone? Okay, if not, then we will move to our next presentation. So, Kaushik, you can stop presenting your screen now. So,
Okay,
our
thank
next,
you, ma'am.
yes, so our next presentation is by Sapna Baluni, and she will be talking about quasi-projective synchronization of time-varying delayed complex valued Cohen-Grossberg neural networks with mismatched parameters. So, Sapna, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so just Sapna, just share your screen and you can start your presentation now.
Okay, ma'am. Screen is visible?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Sapna Baloni. I am from Mathematical Department, IIT BHU. Today, the topic of my presentation is quasi-projective synchronization of complex-valued Cohen-Grossberg neural networks with time-varying delayed and mismatched parameters. These are the outlines of my presentation. Firstly, there will be a formal introduction of the topic, and then I will explain you the mathematical model. After that, I will explain all the assumptions I have considered, followed by the method used. I will introduce the main result, and then there will be a proper validation of the method used with the help of simulation example, and at last, I will conclude my presentation. So, neurons are basic functional units of nervous system. Almost all neurons have three basic essential functions. They receive information, process it, and then transfer it to the others. An artificial neuron is motivated by the biological neural network. The artificial neural network also does the same work. It receives information, then weights them separately and sum up, pass their linear sum through a non-linear function called activation function to produce the output. Cohen-Grossberg neural network have been introduced by Cohen and Grossberg in 1983. Complex-valued Cohen-Grossberg neural network have numerous applications in the field of engineering and sciences. The state vector, connection weights, and also activation, amplification, and behavior function of Cohen-Grossberg neural networks are all complex-valued. In the investigation of dynamical behavior of complex valued Cohen-Grosberg neural network, choosing an activation function is acknowledged to be a major challenge. In complex valued Cohen-Grosberg neural networks, activation function can't be bounded and analytic because of the Levelue theorem. Synchronization is the phenomenon that may occur when two or more non-linear systems are coupled. So far, numerous synchronization methods have been developed, such as anti-complete, quasi-projective, and multi-synchronization. Among the existing synchronization schemes, projective synchronization stand out as a significant features of proportional synchronization of the master and response system. Furthermore, in the quasi-projective synchronization, the errand during the implantation of practical synchronization does not always approach zero with time, but fluctuate within a small range. The main contribution are as follows. A linear feedback controller is constructed during the study of the projective synchronization of non-identical time-varying delayed complex-valued Cohen-Grosberg neural networks. Synchronization stability condition with the help of some definitions, schemas, and special cases are formulated, and the synchronization error bound is estimated. The process is carried out in the complex domain via direct method. Following are the mathematical models of the neural network.
Kaushik, mute yourself.
Just a minute, Kaushik.
Kaushik, mute yourself.
What is this one? Kaushik.
Just 1 minute, Sapna. Don't have the choice.
Huh?
Kaushik? Kaushik?
How much irresponsible he is.
Who is who has this charge of this meeting, so they can
Hello?
all other person.
अरे उसको ये कर दो ना, ये नहीं, मेघा नहीं है.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm here, sir.
ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
अरे इसको ये म्यूट कर, इसको डिलीट ये कर दो.
Okay, sir.
What is this?
Okay, Sapna, yeah, sorry for that. So just now you can continue.
Now, following are some of the mathematical models of neural networks, complex valued Cohen-Grosberg neural network without delay. Here, xt is the state vector, c1 is amplification gain, ht is behaved function, and a is connection weight matrix, xt is activation function, and r is input vector. Now, I have considered here is complex valued Cohen-Grosberg neural network with time varying delay. Here, g is activation function with time varying delay, and rt is input vector. The slave system corresponding to delayed master system above is given by equation number 2. Here yt is state vector, c2 is gain matrix, and ht is behaved function, and g is activation function with time varying delay, and wt is controller. Now I've used these definition. The response system 2 and master system 1 are said to be quasi-projectively synchronized if there exists a small bound theta greater than 0 such that this inequality hold, and where r is projective coefficient. As it's seen from definition 1 that if the projective coefficient r equal to 0, then the topic becomes complex valued Cohen-Grosberg neural network stability. And if we take r equals to 1, then the system is quasi-synchronized. Also, if the limit t tends to infinity, this norm is equals to 0, then we achieve complete synchronization. And this is the definition of global exponentially stability, where there exists a positive constant alpha beta such that mod of theta t less than equals to beta e to the power minus alpha t, where alpha is convergent rate. Now, assumption 1, each of behaved and activation function satisfy the following Lipschitz condition. And each of behaved and activation function are also bounded. And the time varying delay tau naught t greater than equals to 0 is a differentiable function with tau naught t is bounded by some constant delta. Now, various methods are used to study the stability and synchronization problems of neural networks, but we will primarily focusing on Lyapunov functional method. I have used this lemma. Let us suppose that the continuous function psi t satisfy the following inequality, where v1, v2, p are all positive and tau naught t is bounded by xi. Then this inequality hold, where eta is the unique solution of this equation. And lemma 2, for any dh Cn belongs to Cn, C is positive real number, the following inequality is true. Now let us define the synchronization error between the master and response system as SLNT equals to response system minus R times of master system. From equation 1 and 2, and by the definition of error function, we can get the error system as given by equation number 3. Now, if the assumption 1 to hold, then 1 is quasi-projectively synchronized with the second based on the controller 6 if there exists constant d1, d2 and alpha I greater than 0 such that equation number 4 hold and d1 minus d2 greater than 0. Moreover, the synchronization error converges exponentially in this region where eta is the unique solution of this equation. Now let us consider the Lyapunov function as Vt equals to epsilon t epsilon bar t, where epsilon t is the error and the controller is defined by Wjt equals to minus kg epsilon t, where r and kg are complex valued. Therefore, based on lemmas and assumption, error epsilon t converges exponentially to the region, and hence for definition 1, we can easily get the quasi-projective synchronization between complex valued Cohen-Grossberg neural networks 2 and 1. Particularly, for quasi-synchronization, if we take R equals to 1, then the synchronization error between 1 and 2 is epsilon t equals to response system minus master system. And now we can get the error system as given in question number 7. Accordingly, we can derive the following corollary. If the assumption 1 to hold, the response system is quasi-synchronized with master system under the controller 6 if there exists constant b1, b2 and beta I greater 0 such that this inequality hold and b1 minus b2 greater 0. The reason of convergence of the synchronization error is this, and where eta is the unique solution of this equation. Additionally, if we take identical systems such that A dash equals to A, B dash equal to B, C1 equals to C2, and R dash equals to R, then the problem changes into synchronization between system 1 and 2. We can get the following corollary. Assume that assumption 1, 2 holds and there exists constant B1, B2 greater than 0, beta I greater than 0 such that this inequality hold and B1 minus B2 greater than 0, then the response system 2 is globally exponential synchronized with the master system 1 under the controller 6. Now, let us consider a time-varying delay complex valued Cohen-Grossberg neural networks with the master system as 1 and the response system as 2, where all the parameters are given by this, and the behaved and activation function are taken as h, f, and g. Now, case 1. If we choose r equals to 0.1 plus 0.5i, then we have this convergence region with error bound 0.274 and with convergence rate 3.39. And if we take r equals to 1, then convergence region will be this and with error bound 0.2258 and convergence rate 2.991. In the case of identical system, master 1 and response system 2 are globally exponentially synchronized. As we can see in figure 1, for quasi-projective synchronization, the error bound is 0.274 and error fluctuate within this region. And in figure 2, for case 2, for quasi-synchronization, error bound is 0.2258 and error fluctuate within this region. And for figure 3, if for two identical system, the error converges 0 exponentially. So, quasi-projective synchronization of time-varying delayed complex valued CGNNs with mismatch parameter is discussed. A suitable feedback controller is designed. A Lyapunov function is constructed. The synchronization error bound and convergence region is estimated. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna. So, are there any questions from the audience?
I have a basic question.
Yes.
Sapna, what is the difference between quasi-synchronization and quasi-projective synchronization?
In quasi-projective synchronization, we define error by response system minus R times of master system. And in
वाला slide दिखाओ. That slide where you have written this R minus this.
Yes. We define error by yt minus r times of xt. And if we take r equals to 1, then the error is yt minus xt. This is quasi-synchronization. And if r is a complex number, this is quasi-projective synchronization.
So one is better?
Obviously, quasi-projective synchronization. Because quasi-synchronization is a particular case of quasi-projective synchronization.
Okay. And what is the Lyapunov function?
By a Lyapunov function, we can prove the stability of a equilibrium point of the neural network.
Okay, thanks. Others can ask if they have any question.
Yeah, Arju? Hello?
Yes,
Arju,
sir.
do you have any question?
No, sir.
Okay, so if not, Sapna, thank you for your talk. And now you can stop sharing your screen.
Mhm.
Thank you, ma'am.
So our next talk is by N.K. Singh, and the title of the talk is Iterative Learning Control for a Class of Switched Discrete Time Systems with Model Uncertainties, External Noises, and Time Delay. So N.K. Singh, are you here?
Ma'am. Can I share my
Yes.
screen?
So yes, Nitish, just share your screen. Nitish, can you
Yeah,
hear
ma'am.
me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
ma'am.
share your screen.
Hello, everybody. I am Nitish Kumar Singh, and I am here to present my paper, Iterative Learning Control for a Class of Switch Discrete Time System with a model uncertainty and external noises and time delay. These are the outline of this presentation. First of all, switch system. A switch system is a dynamical system that consists of a finite number of
Nitish,
subsystems.
just put in full view mode. Maybe it will be more better to see them. Just go on the view and full screen mode, presentation mode. So on the top of the page, on the left, there is view. No. So there's file, edit, and view. So there is a, just go on the option view. Yes. Yes, on the top of the page, on the left hand side, there are options file, edit, view. Yes, so file, edit, view. Yeah, click on that. Full screen mode. No, below. More, yeah, full screen mode. Just put it.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Thank
Switch
you.
system. A switch system is a dynamical system that consists of a finite number of subsystems and a differential equation, which are differential equation and difference equations, and a logical rule that arranges switching between these subsystems. This logical rule may be a sequence or a continuous function. Iterative learning control. Iterative learning control is a control method that improves the tracking performance of the system.
The volume of Nitish, yeah, your
Yes, sir.
hello. It is
Yes, sir.
not clearly coming. Your
Okay,
voice,
sir.
your voice is not clearly coming.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
No. Your presentation, yeah, slides are okay, but your voice,
Just
Sir,
speak bit loudly. That's what sir is saying.
yes.
am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible, but just speak clearly, and that
Okay.
presentation mode was fine. I mean, just
Okay, thank you.
yeah. So just try to speak more loudly and
ILC is a control method that improves the tracking performance of the system by using the learning capacity of over repeated test trials. And ILC is first introduced by Uchiyama in 1978 and the first paper published by Arimoto in 1984. And these are the mathematical terminology and some notations where x is a state variable, u is input variable, and y is a output signal, and sigma k is represent the switching rule. This is an example of a switching sequence where for we have taken a modulo 3 for any element in gamma. For this paper, we have taken a single input, single output linear discrete time invariant time delay switch system described by equation 1, where x is a state variable, u is a input variable, y is output variable, and a, b are matrix of appropriate dimension, and delta a, delta d, and delta v are uncertainties, and eta l is load noise, and eta m is measurement noise. And for if we take we have taken if we take a k not equal to 0, then this case is studied by Young. Now the objective of the system is to generate an input sequence un for which a output sequence yn converges to reference trajectory yd as closely as possible. Mathematically, you can say the error is tends to 0, and where error is defined by yd minus yn. For this paper, we have used the PD type ILC method given by equation 2, where tau and kappa denotes differential gains and proportional learning gains, respectively. For this paper, we have assumed the following assumption. First assumption said that the all operator begins at identical initial state. And the second, for a given reference trajectory yd, there exists a reference control input ud and a reference state vector xd, for which the equation 3 satisfied. And assumption third says that the system rule remains iterative invariant. That is, switching rule remains iteration invariant. Now, for this, we have taken cap A equal to A plus delta A, and cap D equal to A D plus delta B, D, and B delta cap B equal to B plus delta B, for which the system 1 can be rewritten in the form here. But we have used superfactor representation for solve this problem, and for which these are the assumptions. And by using superfactor representation, equation 1 can be written in the form of equation 5, where cap H cannot is a superfactory supermatrix, and then in the form of supervector, the objective of the system, our objective is to find a sequence un for which the output sequence yn converges to desired trajectory yd as closely as possible, where un is the supervector representation of input, and yn is a supervector representation of output, and yd is supervector representation of a desired trajectory. Now, similarly, by using supervector representation, the PD type ILC method can be rewritten in the form of supervector by equation 7, where phi is a supervector supermatrix known as learning gain matrix. Now, we have the following definitions for a robustly monotonically convergent and robustness. Now, we have used the lemma where for a two non-negative real sequence an and bn, for which satisfy the equation 8, then if the limit bn equal to b, then we have the following results, where first supremum of an is less than and equal to b by 1 minus b by 1 minus kappa, and if a b equal to 0, then the limit of an tends to 0. Now, main results are by using PD type ILC, and by definition of error, we have defined the equation. We have get equation 9. Now, for a convergence analysis, we have three conditions. First, when the model uncertainties are absent and model external noise are present. First is both model uncertainties and external noise are absent, and case second is when the model uncertainties are present but the external noise are absent, and case third is when model uncertainties are absent but external noise are present. Now, first case, when both model uncertainties and external noises are absent, then the equation 5 can be written by equation 10, and for which we have theorem which said that when the ILC algorithm 7 is imposed on system 10, then the tracking error converges monotonically to 0 if the equation 11 holds. Now, case 2, when the model uncertainties are present while the external noises are absent, then we get equation 5 can be written in the form of equation 12, and for which we have theorem which said that when the update law 7 is imposed on the system 12 such that the condition 11 is granted, that is kappa is less than 1, then the algorithm 7 is robustly monotonically convergent if the condition 13 holds. Now, last condition, case when the model external noises are present while the model uncertainties are absent, that is delta H cannot equal to 0, then the equation system 5 can be written in the form of system equation 14, for which we have theorem when the update law 7 is imposed on the system 14, such that the condition 11 is guaranteed, that is kappa is less than 1, then the inequality 15 holds under the certain condition on external noises. To support our result, we have given numerical examples for which we have taken a single input, single output, linear discrete time invariant time delay system, where switching sequence is given as below, which as we have taken modulo 3, and these are the dynamics of the system, and the reference trajectory is given as sine 2k by 25, and the initial condition is x and k equal to 0 and u1 equal to 0. For a differential gain 0.8 and proportional gain kappa equal to 0.15, we have get a kappa equal to 0.9759, which is less than 1. Figure 1 is the figure of a switching rule defined by a switching rule, and figure 2 is the error of error when the both external noises and learning uncertainties are absent. And figure 3 is output of the sequence when the both learning modal uncertainties and external noise are absent at the 10th trial, 15th trial, and 20th trial. And fourth is a tracking error when the modal uncertainties are destroyed by modal system is destroyed by modal uncertainty, but the external noise are absent. And 7 is the tracking error, figure of tracking error when the system is disturbed by external noise, but modal uncertainties are absent. These are the curve of a maximum error. And figure 9 is the output of a system. Figure of output of the system when the modal uncertainty is absent, but external was absent, present at the 10th, 15th, and 20th trial. These are the references of this for this presentation.
Okay, so thank you, Nitish. Are there any questions from the audience?
Thank you, ma'am.
Any questions? Okay, if not, let's thank the speaker. So, Nitish, now you can stop sharing your screen. Okay, so our next speaker is Arju Jamal, and he'll be talking about fixed time stability of dynamical systems with impulsive effect.
Okay, ma'am.
So, Arju, are you here, right? Okay, so just share your screen.
Is your screen is visible, ma'am?
Yes, it's visible. So you can start.
Okay, ma'am.
You can put in full screen mode, I think. So it's already there or not?
It's already in full screen mode.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay,
You
good
can-
afternoon to all of you. I am Mohammad Arju Jamal, research scholar working under the supervision of. Okay. I am the Arju Jamal, research scholar working under the supervision of Professor Santana Mukhopadhyay and Professor Sukhbir Das from Department of Mathematical Science, Indian Institute of Technology, BHU. The title of the paper is Fixed Time Stability Analysis of Nonlinear Dynamical System with Impulsive Effects. These are the outline of my presentations, introductions, then Lyapunov function and its properties, fixed time and finite time stability, and then impulsive system and its and average impulsive interval, fixed time stability of impulsive system, then conclusion and references. The method for stability analysis of nonlinear system near the equilibrium point are either Lyapunov indirect method and Lyapunov direct method. In Lyapunov indirect method, we generalize the system near the equilibrium point to Taylor theorems to find the analytical solution of the nonlinear ODE. But there are several disadvantages in Lyapunov indirect method. How to check the stability properties near the equilibrium point x equal to 0 without computing the state trajectories. And second one is if the state trajectory x equal to 0 is asymptotically stable, how to compute a region of attractions. And another disadvantage is the analysis of the linearized system around equilibrium point x equal to 0 might allow one to check local stability. How to proceed when no conclusion can be drawn using the linearized system. That's why we need Lyapunov direct method given by Russian mathematician A.M. Lyapunov. The motivation of my presentation is the stability of equilibrium of dynamical system is an essential property since they typically are designed to capture desired specification and performance requirement of the system response. The theory of finite time and fixed time stability can be leveraged in the control design to guarantee that such specifications are met. It has been shown that a faster rate of convergence generally implies that the closed loop system has better disturbance rejections properties. The impulsive control, which is based on the theory of impulsive differential equation, has considerable attention in science and engineering since they provide a natural framework for mathematical modeling of physical phenomena, for example, populations, growth models, financial market models, biological models, and neural network. Now, some definitions of systems dynamics. If x dot t equal to f of xt, where f is defined from domain D is an open subset of Rn to Rn, is a locally map. And next one is the equilibrium point xc when it satisfies x dot of e equal to 0 to f of xc. Now we define the stable equilibrium when xc is an stable point provided for any epsilon greater than 0. There exists a delta which is dependent on epsilon greater than 0 such that when the initial conditions bounded in delta neighborhood of epsilon, then the state trajectory is bounded in the epsilon neighborhood. If the condition is not satisfied, then the equilibrium point is not stable. Now we define asymptotically stable for given epsilon greater than 0. There is a delta which depend on epsilon greater than 0 such that when the initial conditions is bounded in some delta neighborhood, then the state trajectories converge to the equilibrium point when t tends to infinity. The equilibrium point is both stable and convergent, then it is said to be asymptotically stable. Now we define exponentially stable when there exists a alpha and lambda greater than 0 such that when it satisfies the condition such that the initial conditions bounded in the some neighborhood of delta. Now we define Lyapunov stability theorem. The first theorem is if x equal to 0 is an equilibrium point and of the system x dot equal to f of x and f defined from domain D to Rn, and the Lyapunov function if we defined from domain D to Rn is be a continuously differentiable function and it satisfies the condition v of 0 equal to 0 and v of x is greater than 0 in domain D except 0 and v dot x is less than 0 in domain D, then x equal to 0 is a stable point. Now define asymptotically stable when x equal to 0 be equilibrium point of the system x dot equal to f of x and f defined from domain D to Rn and v the Lyapunov function defined from domain D to Rn be continuously differential function and satisfy v of 0 equal to 0 and vx greater than 0 in domain D except 0 and v dot x is strictly less than 0 in domain D except 0, then x equal to 0 is asymptotically stable. Now we define global asymptotically stable when x equal to 0 be equilibrium point and it satisfies all the conditions of asymptotically stable and it also satisfies vx is readily unbounded, then x is called globally asymptotically stable. Now we define exponentially stable when all conditions of asymptotically stable are satisfied and it also satisfies the condition first and second, then the x equal to 0 is exponentially stable. Moreover, if the condition hold globally, then x equal to 0 is globally exponentially stable. Now we define the concept of finite time stability. When we consider the autonomous system x dot equal to f of xt and x0 is the initial condition where f defined from domain u0 subset of Rn to Rn is continuous on an open neighborhood to u0 of the origin x equal to 0, the equilibrium point x equal to 0 of system 3 is finite time stable. If it is Lyapunov stable and finite time converges in a neighborhood u which is subset of u0 of the origin, the finite time convergence means that for any initial state x equal to 0 belongs to u, that the settling time t which is defined from u except 0 to infinity such that every solution xt of x0 of the system defined with x solution u which is defined x solution which is belongs to u except 0 for t defined from 0 to settling time t satisfy the conditions limit of t tends to the settling time x of t equal to 0 and x t equal to 0 for t greater than to the settling time. When u equal to Rn, then equilibrium point is globally finite time stable. Now Now the author define Butt and Weinstein that the theorem says that the origin is finite time stable if there exists a continuous and positive definite function v. We define from domain D to Rn where D is subset of Rn is a neighborhood of the origin and it satisfies the condition v dot of x is less than or equal to minus c vx vxp power alpha for x belongs to domain D except 0 and c greater than 0 alpha from 0 to 1. Then the settling time t of x naught is less than or equal to v of x naught power divided upon c1 minus alpha. So compare with the asymptotically stable, the system with finite time convergence demonstrates some nice features such as fast convergence, high accuracies, and better robustness to the uncertainties. Now, there are some disadvantages in finite time stability. The knowledge of initial condition of many practical systems such as robotic, smart grid, and vehicle monitoring, physical model may be hardly accurately obtained or impossible to be obtained in advance, which lead to poor estimation of settling time. To overcome this problem, the fixed time stability was introduced by Polyakov. So the fixed time stability is the origin of the system 3 is said to be fixed time stable if it is globally finite time stable and the settling time function t of x naught is bounded for any x naught belongs to Rn. Now Polyakov gives one of the theorem that if there exists a continuous positive definite and readily unbounded function Vx defined from Rn to Rn such that any solution xt of 3 satisfies the inequality v dot of x equal less than equal to minus a v alpha of x and minus v beta of, where v beta of x we have taken from the finite time stability, and the role of v alpha of x whose role is regarding as pulling the system into the region with norm is less than 1 in a fixed time. Combined with this term, maybe quickly get the settling time of the fixed time stable. So the Polyakov given that the time of this inequality. Now we define nonlinear impulsive system. So the impulsive system is basic model to describe the dynamical process that are subjected to sudden changes in their state, which exhibit continuous dynamic evolutions typically described by ordinary differential equation and instantaneous state jump or reset. Generally, the study of dynamics of impulsive system can be divided into two classes: impulsive perturbations problem and impulsive control problem. So we consider the nonlinear system where x dot equal to f of xt. This is the continuous part, and del of xt equal to beta of g of xt. This is the discrete part where xt is the state vector and f and g are continuous, and where t we take is t is the impulsive sequence. Where the beta is the impulsive strength. When beta is greater than 1, the impulse can potentially hinder the stability. We say that the impulses are destabilizing. When we take beta is less than 1, the impulse can enhance the stability of the considered system. So we said that the impulses are stabilizing. Now we consider the average impulsive interval. The means of average impulsive interval is that when we take finite interval, it may be possible in finite interval, it may have the infinite number of jumps. So here we consider average impulsive interval to overcome such problems, as impulsive sequence tk is said to be average impulsive interval if there exists a positive number n0 and positive number tau s such that the impulsive times, the number of impulse time bounded to t minus capital T minus t to tau minus n0 to t minus t to tau minus plus n0, where n of t is denote the number of impulse time of the impulsive sequence in the interval dt. Now we define the definition. V is the Lyapunov function belong to class V0 if it hold two conditions. The function V is continuous on each of the sort and it satisfies the conditions. And V is locally Lipschitz in X. Now in the main result, which is fixed time stability of nonlinear impulsive system. Therefore, here under the stabilizing impulses, here we define the system 4 such that in the system 4 we take if there exists V, the Lyapunov function which belongs to V0 and such that some positive constant W1, W2, A, M1, M2, M3, Q1, Q2, alpha, where Q1 is greater than 1 and Q2 from 0 to 1, and alpha is the impulsive strength from 0 to 1, such that it holds the three conditions. This one is the compact space to find the global solutions. And for this inequality, for the continuous part, where V dot of x is hold these conditions. So here we, when we compare with the Polyakov result, so here we only two terms, and in our result where we take one extra term to accelerate the system to reach the equilibrium point with less conservative time. So, and this one is the impulsive discrete part. So the for all condition hold, then the system for is fixed time stable, and the settling time is defined by this. Now here in the settling time, here the parameter from condition 2 and the alpha is belongs to condition 3. So it hold all the conditions of the parameters, and if alpha equal to 1, then the settling time is this. So in this result, where we study the fixed time stability of class of impulsive system and develop new criteria for achieving fixed time stability of non-autonomous dynamical system with stabilizing using the Lyapunov function and average impulsive intervals. The theoretical derivation shows that the estimated fixed time stability in this study is less conservative and more accurate as compared to the existing fixed time stability theorem. Now, the future work is we can extend such problems in impulsive neural network, impulsive time delay system, delayed impulsive system, multi-agent system, and the robotic control theory and chaotic system. These are the references. That's all in my presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Arju. So, is there any questions from the audience or any comments?
Yes, ma'am. I have some questions.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Arzu, which one is more general, asymptotic stability or exponential stability?
Actually, asymptotically stability is that when we take the solutions, it is bounded in the region. But when asymptotically stability, the solution converges to the equilibrium point. That is better than exponential stability.
Asymptotic stability is better than exponential.
Yes. But sometimes it doesn't hold when we take x dot equal to minus x square, right? So sometimes it not hold. If this one is not hold.
When you consider the asymptotic stability, when you consider the exponential stability,
Sir, exponentially stable, sir, asymptotic stability we just use for the convergence when we take the solution converge to the equilibrium point, sir. And for the exponential stability, that is bounded region in this.
Okay. So is the your Lyapunov function is unique in general?
No. It depends on the system. It depends on the system. It's a hit and trial method.
No. There is a flexibility. That is the beauty of the Lyapunov functional. Hello, there is a flexibility of choosing it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and in slide number 8, you discuss something about settling time. So, what is settling time?
Yes, correct.
Settling time. Here. Settling time is that when we take the system, that the system reaches the equilibrium point. When we take x equal to 0 is equilibrium point, that is settling time is the time set to reach the system to the equilibrium point.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, another any questions?
Finite तुम क्या किया? Finite time synchronization, no?
No, sir. Fixed time, sir.
Fixed time. What is the difference between finite time synchronization and fixed time synchronization?
Sir, in finite time system, it varies when the initial conditions change. But in the fixed time state, it is the bounded.
Sensitively depends on the initial condition.
Yes, sir. But in fixed time state, it is the bounded for all the initial conditions.
Good.
I have another question. What is the difference between the pre-assigned fixed time stability and fixed time stability?
Yes.
Pre-assigned fixed time stability. Have you heard this?
No.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, sir, I'm done. Others can ask.
What kind of Lyapunov functional you have chosen? You see, so
where, sir?
What kind of Lyapunov functional you have chosen?
In this system, sir.
Yes.
Sir, generally we can take, sir, x square by 2, sir.
Yeah. Here, what it depends on the problem to problem, no?
Yes, sir. It's depend on the system, sir. Actually.
That is a problem. Then, what kind of Lyapunov function here you have chosen?
Sir, we take x square by 2.
X square by 2. Okay. If you consider it a fractional system, sometimes weak derivative, Dini derivative is
Yes,
considered
yes, yes, sir, right, sir,
for the
right, sir,
fraction
right,
order
sir,
derivative.
right, sir. For non-smooth, for non
V dot less than equal to V alpha that time.
Yes, sir, sir.
Dini
For
derivative
non-smooth
has to be-
system, for the
yes,
case of non-smooth, yes, sir.
not smooth system. Correct. ठीक है. हाँ मैडम. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir. So actually, I read about this Lyapunov function in my master's. I'm just basic it. So I'm just happy to listen about that. These functions are are very useful. I mean,
Yeah. For stability in dynamical system, it works very well.
Yes, yes.
Um,
I mean,
when
that
it
time we
comes
just
to
had
use
introduction
another
of these
method,
functions.
we usually do it by applying the Lyapunov function.
Yeah,
But the madam is problem is then trial and error method. Sometimes that will not work, but this
yes,
that will
exactly.
not work, and suddenly it starts to work.
I
So
mean,
this is
it
a good
depend.
way
I
of-
think it will come
yeah.
from experience that I mean, which kind of functions we can take, which will work. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
so now we'll call to next speaker, Silpa Samadar, and the title of her talk is Effect of Nonlinear Prey Refuge on Predator Prey Dynamics. So Silpa, you just share your screen.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible. Just share your screen now.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for introducing me. And I would also like to thank the mathematics department of IIT BHU for giving me this opportunity to present my work in the International Conference on Nonlinear Analysis and Optimization. Let me get the pointer. Yeah. So today I'm going to present the effect of nonlinear prey refuge on prey beta dynamics through mathematical modeling. This study is co-authored by Dr. Moushumi and Dr. Pritesh Bhattacharya. So from the title, this is the outline of my presentation. First, I will give some basic introduction about mathematical modeling and prey beta dynamics. Later, I will discuss the model which consists the constant prey refuge, and I will introduce the nonlinear prey refuge to this model and I will describe it. Later, I will compare both the models and conclude my study. So what thing first come out in our mind? What is mathematical modeling, right? So if any real life scenario is described or expressed by a mathematical form, then this form is called mathematical modeling. So then why should we need in prey beta dynamics, right? So if we give a look at human prehistory, it will be clear that existence of human is not so beneficial for ecosystem. A lot of species are already extinct and a lot are in queue. But we'll think what we care. The human population is increasing, right? But that is the problem, because this is a disbalance in the ecosystem and increasing the zoonotic diseases. If we see the real now the scenario, the corona is one of the example. So for that, this is the urgent time to control the ecosystem. For that, what we have some statistical data, but the statistical data solely cannot focus the dynamics of predator scenario. So what we can do some mathematical modeling that will give us the opportunity to forecast the future events and also balance the parameters and see how the parameters affect the dynamics and how can we control the ecosystem. Now I'll discuss the prey-predator mechanism, how prey-predator interaction works. When there is no predator, prey grows eventually. Now suppose there are predators. Prey and predator are in interaction. What will happen? No living being wants to extinct or get hunted, right? So what will prey do? Some of the prey will take refuge. So this refuge prey will not be available to the predator for hunting, and rest of the prey will be available for predators. So as the prey are getting hunted, the amount of prey is reduced, and after hunting, predator will grow. So this will give predator growth. And every living being has natural death. So some of the predator will die naturally and reduce the amount of predator density.
Now, this scenario I'll explain by mathematical expression. So first I consider the model with constant refuge. So when there is no predator, this is the growth expression of prey. Now the prey interact with predator, that will decrease its density. This term is discussed by this expression. Here this m represent the prey constant. That means mx amount of prey is not available for hunting. Now as the prey-predator interaction is done, so that will give the predator a growth, that is described by this expression, and the natural death of predator is described by minus dy. This is the notation that is used in this expression, and all the parameters due to the biological meaning we have taken positive. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of parameters. So to reduce that parameters, we have non-dimensionalized the system through this transformation. And this gives us the resulting system as the set of dynamical systems. So from the first dynamical system, you can see the prey density can be at most 1. Now, this dynamical system possesses 3 biologically meaningful equilibrium points. The first one is 0, 0, where no species is available, and this equilibrium point is always unstable saddle. The next one is 1, 0. That means here there is no predator species. There is no predator species. Obviously, prey will increase to its maximum, and that is 1. So the equilibrium is 1, 0, and that is stable when the death rate of predator is too high. That means if the death rate is too high, the predator will extinct, or the refuge amount of prey is too high. In that time also, prey will not be available to predators. So obviously, prey will increase to its maximum density. And the next one is the interior equilibrium point. That means when both the species exist. This equilibrium point exists if B greater than DH. That means birth rate of predator is quite high than the death rate of predator. This is biologically meaningful because to exist the predator, the birth rate should be very, very high. And the stability condition is also presented here. This figure 1 describes the stability of the interior equilibrium point. Now, this interior equilibrium point can go through a Hopf bifurcation at MH. So, I have not expressed the Jacobian matrix here, but we can prove that the trace of the Jacobian matrix is 0 at MH, and also the determinant is positive there, and the differentiation of the trace at MH is non-zero. The full calculation is given in the paper. This is the bifurcation diagram of the system in respect of M. Now I'll introduce the non-linear term, that means non-linear prey refuge. Here is the expression. Here you can see this term, we have changed M by My by A plus Y. Because if I go to the first slide, the mechanism you can see, here you can see when there is no predator, there is no concept of prey refuge, right? Why will prey take refuge? There is predator, that's why prey is taking refuge. Obviously, the refuge area will be a substandard area, that is very much likely. And if there is very low amount of predator, prey are not likely to take refuge. And if the predator amount increases, prey are likely to take refuge. So that means prey refuge amount should depend on predator density. But till now, the studies have taken constant prey refuge. But in our study, what we have done, we have taken a non-linear prey refuge, and the prey refuge count increases if the predator count increases and simultaneously. So where were we? So this is the model. So this model also consists 3 equilibrium points. One, there is no species, and that is always unstable saddle. When there is no predator, that is 1, 0. It is stable if the death rate of predator is too high, and the interior equilibrium point, which is denoted by E2 X star Y star. Now, the interior equilibrium point is the intersection of the two nunclines F1 and F2. And solving that, we get Y star as a function of X star and X star as a solution of this cubic equation. Now, this cubic equation can have at most three solutions. By using the Descartes rule, we can say that there always exists one negative solution and it has at most two positive solutions. Now, from there, I can conclude one or two remarks. The first one is that Y star must be positive, and that gives us a range of X star. So now this D by 1 minus M B minus DH is an upper bound of X star, and already we know 1 is an upper bound of X star. So X star must be less than equal to the minimum of 1 and D by 1 minus M B minus DH, right? Now, the second remark is, if you look at this cubic equation, you will get the sum of the solutions. And the sum of the solutions is 1 plus D by 1 minus M B minus DH. One is one upper bound of X star and another is other upper bound of X star. So the sum of the solution has two positive solutions and one negative solutions. That means the sum cannot be greater than the sum of the two positive solutions. But here we can see the sum is greater than the two positive solutions, which means one solution must cross the upper bound of X star. That's how we can get the sum of the solution as greater than the sum of two upper bounds. So which concludes that in this region, this equation has only one solution. That means the system can have only one positive solution in the preferred range. So this is the conclusion. Now we claim that the positive equilibria is locally stable if x f1x plus y f2y is less than 0 at that point. So if we look at the Jacobian matrix, the Jacobian matrix can be expressed as x f1x, x f1y, y f2x, and y f2y at E2. And if we use the implicit function theorem, then we can say that determinant of this Jacobian is basically xy, f1y, f2y, slope of f2 minus slope of f1 at that point x star, y star. Now, if you look at this diagram, we have plotted the nunclines, and from there we can easily know the nature of F1 and F2. So F2 is always monotonically increasing, and F1 has a curve form. So from there you can easily see that the slope of F2 is always greater than the slope of F1. So from there we can conclude that the determinant is always positive, because in our paper we have already shown that F1y and F2y are positive. So at the point x star y star, determinant J will be always positive. And as it is positive, it claims that the equilibrium point is always anti-saddle. So as it is anti-saddle, so it will be stable if the trace of the Jacobian is negative. So that is the condition x f1x plus y f2y less than 0 at E2 x star y star. This model also goes through Hopf bifurcation, but as the interior equilibrium cannot be expressed implicitly, so we cannot have a mathematical expression which concludes that it goes through Hopf bifurcation. But by numerical simulation, we can prove that. And for MH is equal to 0.11358, the system goes through Hopf bifurcation, and this is the diagram of bifurcation. Now we'll do model comparison. For that, we have taken some values of the parameters, and at the value m equal to 0.7, what we have done, we have taken 3 different initial points for both the system, where the red trajectories are of the system of constant pre-diffuse and the blue trajectories are the system of non-linear pre-diffuse. What we can see at the same parameter values, in the case of constant pre-diffuse, the trajectories eventually approaches to 1, 0. That means the predator population extincts. But in the case of non-linear pre-diffuse, we see that the blue trajectories eventually approaches to a interior equilibrium point. That means predator population exists. Now, if you think biologically, when there is constant refuse, that means even if the predator count decreases, the refuse are still prey are still refused. That means few amount of prey are available to predator and they are very likely to extinct. But if you think about the non-linear prey refuse, when the predator population is low, the refuse prey will come out and the available prey for predator will increase, and that will help the predator to increase their density also. So the result is biologically feasible. Now the conclusion in that study, we have approached a new nonlinear prey refuse term, which is gxy equal to my by a plus y. We have expressed the prey-predator interaction by Holing type 2 functional response, and we have analyzed both the models with constant prey refuse and with non-linear prey refuse. And we can conclude from the comparison that non-linear prey refuse is beneficial for predator existence and which is biologically meaningful. This is the reference I have gone through. Thank you everyone for your attention.
Thank you, Silpa, for your presentation. Any questions from audience? Any questions? Okay, so if not, let's thank the speaker again. Okay, Silpa, now you can stop sharing your screen. So our next speaker is Rakhi Tiwari. So Rakhi, are you here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm
Okay.
here, ma'am.
The title of her talk is Effect of Magnetic Field and Thermal Conductivity Variance on Thermal Excitation Developed by Laser Pulses and Thermal Shock. So Rakhi,
Yes, ma'am.
you can share your screen and start presenting.
Okay. So,
Yes, we can see your screen.
yeah. Okay, so very good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Dr. Rakhi Tiwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, Bihar University. Today's I'm presenting the topic, presenting the work, which topic is, the topic of my work is effects of magnetic field and thermal conductivity variance on thermal excitation developed by laser pulses and thermal shock. And these are the outlines. First, I will give a brief introduction about the importance of my work, and next I will describe the modeling of the problem, and then I will explain the solution, and after that I will show the computational results, and then I will conclude. I will give the conclusion of my work. So, introduction. Nowadays, researchers are
Rakhi, we can't see your screen, like only the first slide we can see.
no, ma'am. Actually, I have.
No, so for us, we can see only your first screen containing title. That's it. Just do one thing, just stop
Yes.
sharing and then again start sharing. Maybe there's some network issue.
Okay, fine. 1 second, ma'am. 1 second. I'm trying again.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's entire screen. Okay. I'm trying window and then this one. Share. Okay. So, can you see, ma'am?
Yes, we can see your screen now. So
You can see. Okay. And
Share screen, we'll
you
see.
can see, can you see, ma'am, other slides?
Yes,
Now
now,
we can
now
see.
we can see. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, so nowadays researchers are observing from their experiments, like experiments that at the case of high temperature, the properties of the material are changing, like specific heat, thermal conductivity of the material do not remain constant at in the case of high temperature. So, in the present study, I have investigated the influence of magnetic field
So,
on
Ravi, are
the.
you changing the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Second
still we
slide.
can't see.
We can't
No.
see. We can see only the title slide. You have to change this. Yeah, now
Okay.
the third
Just do
slide
this.
is.
Now,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, do
Okay,
like this,
okay,
then
okay,
change.
fine. So, present study investigates the influence of magnetic field on the magnetothermoelastic waves inside the half space medium in context of dual phase like thermoelasticity. Apart from this, I have also considered the variable properties of the material, and boundary of the half space is exposed to a sudden heat input like thermal shock type heat source, and also the bounding surface is assumed to be affected by a laser pulse type heat source. So basically, in this problem, I have tried to explain the effects of changing thermal conductivity parameter as well as the effects of magnetic field on the field quantities of the half space. So for the present problem, we have assumed a isotropic, homogeneous, and thermoelastic half space in the positive direction, which is permeated by the with the uniform magnetic field. And already I told that the boundary of the space half space is subjected to the thermal shock type heat source, and laser pulse is also imposed to the medium. So, due to the interaction among three fields, magnetic field and mechanical field and temperature field, magnetothermoelastic waves are generated inside the medium, and we have assumed that the waves are propagating along the positive direction of the x-axis only. Therefore, we have taken all the field variables which depend on the space coordinate x and the time t. And this is the modeling of the problem. Equation 1 is describing the equation of motion, where sigma ij is denoting the stress tensor, ui is the displacement, rho is the density of the material, mu 0 is the magnetic permeability, j is the current density, and h is the magnetic field intensity. And these are the constitutive equations, and equation 3 is representing the heat conduction equation in context of dual phase like thermoelasticity, where k is the thermal conductivity, tau t and tau q are the phase lags, and theta is the temperature, cv is the specific heat, and gamma is the level constant. And since our medium is influenced with the magnetic field, so governing equations are to be supplemented with the Maxwell's equations, which are given by these four equations, where epsilon 0 denotes the electric permittivity of the medium. We also consider that the initial magnetic field is homogeneous with its components, and perturbed magnetic field and induced electric field is defined as this type. And components of the displacement take the form in one direction only, in the x-axis. And applying the Maxwell equations, we find these equations. And non-Gaussian laser heat source is defined by equation 4, where I0 denotes the laser intensity, Tp is the characteristic time of the laser pulse, and then the source of energy is defined as equation number 5, where Ra denotes absorption depth of the heating energy, and surface Ra is denoting the surface reflectivity, and B is denoting the absorption depth of heat energy. Now, after following the assumptions, we obtain three equations, equation 6, 7, 8, which is governing the problem, where these are the quantity where alpha 0 reflects Elfven velocity, and C0 representing the C1 is representing the propagation of longitudinal wave, and small c is denoting the speed of light. Next, we have assumed this initial and boundary conditions. Initially the means at the boundary, when time t is equal to 0, at the time t is equal to 0, displacement and theta, displacement and temperature are assumed to be 0, and at the boundary, theta is taken as h0 ht, where ht is the, hello, ht is the Heaviside step function. Why we have taken this? Because boundary of the half space is subjected to the
Divya, Divya,
yeah, and
Divya madam.
due to our realistic approach, we assume that stress and temperature fields vanish at the infinite distance from the boundary of the medium. Now, for the solution, as already I have told that thermal conductivity is not constant due to the high temperature. So it is taken as a linear function of thermodynamical temperature theta. And then considering the Kirchhoff's transformation, the conductive temperature psi is dependent on theta as per the equation number 13. Then with the help of the Leibniz rule, we have found the values of the del theta by del t. And with the help of equation 12 and 13, we obtain the value of psi, value of conductive temperature in terms of temperature theta. And then applying the boundary conditions, we obtain the value of conductive temperature psi on the boundary. And then assuming the applying these assumptions, applying these assumptions means replacing psi in place of theta. We obtain equations 17, 18, and 19. And for the purpose of solving these equations, we have attempted to non-dimensionalize these equations, and for that we have assumed these non-dimensional quantities. And after substituting these quantities on equations 17 to 19, we obtain equations 20 to 21 in non-dimensional form. Now, for solving these equations, we adopted the technique of Laplace transform, and for that we apply Laplace transform on both sides of equation 20, 21, and 22, and then we obtain the equation 23, 24, and 25 respectively. Also applying the Laplace transform on initial and boundary conditions. And then we obtain equation 26 and 27 as the boundary condition in Laplace transform. Now, with the help of equation 23 and 24, on solving 23 and 24, we have obtained a 4-degree differential equation in terms of displacement component as equation number 28. And this is basically 4-degree differential equation. And the solution of this equation can be written as in terms of as equation 29, where xi1 and xi2 are the roots with the positive real parts, which are evaluated as xi1 is equal to square root of a1 plus again square root of a1 square minus 4a2 upon 2, where a1 a2 are the coefficients in the differential equation. Again, with the help of equation 29 and equation 23, we obtain the expression of conductive temperature psi in terms of xi1 and xi2, where psi1 and psi2 are the parameters depending on A and B. Now, and again with the help of equation 29 and 30, substituting equation 29 and 30 in equation number 25, we obtain the expression of thermal stress sigma. So these are the closed form solutions of conductive temperature psi, displacement u, and thermal stress sigma in Laplace transform domain. So after that, I have found the numerical results in time domain, and for finding the results in time domain, I have taken the inversion of Laplace transform, numerical inversion of Laplace transform, and then I have plotted these quantities psi, u, and sigma. So first, in the first case, I have tried to show the effects of magnetic field on the variations of conductive temperature psi. And in the second figure, I have tried to explain the effects of magnetic field on the variations of displacement u. In figure 1, as we can see that if magnetic field does not affect the variation of the propagation of conductive temperature, but it affects on the values of the conductive temperature with respect to the distance of half space. As we can see that if we increase the value of magnetic field H, the value of conductive temperature also increases respectively. And the second figure, as we can see that the mode of propagation of the displacement is such that starting from the constant value, it goes on increasing as the distance increases, and after achieving a maximum value, it start to decrease and ultimately vanish with respect to the distance. Here the effects of magnetic field, if magnetic field do not affect on the pattern of propagation of displacement field, but it affects the values of the displacement field. And we can see that as the magnetic field rises from 2000, then we are getting a significant difference on the values of the displacement u. Now the next is, and this is the figure of thermal stress sigma with respect to the distance x. Here the pattern of variance is starting from the constant value. It is starting from the constant value, and after facing some jumps, ultimately it goes down for the higher distance. And again, magnetic field do not affect on the propagation, on the pattern of propagation, but it significantly affects on the values of the on the values of the thermal stress sigma. And the next, I have tried to explain the effect of changing thermal conductivity parameter K1 on the field variables. So as we can see that again, the pattern of movement of conductive temperature is starting from a constant value. It goes on decreasing as the distance increases, and ultimately it fades. So, but the effect of variable thermal conductivity is present. However, the effect is not so prominent on on the plots of conductive temperature psi. But in the case of displacement and stress, we will see the prominent effects of thermal conductivity parameter K1. As in figure 5, we see that the effect of thermal conductivity parameter is clearly visible, and especially in the peak values, the effect of changing thermal conductivity parameter is maximum. And next is the variation of thermal stress sigma. Here we can see that the effect of changing thermal conductivity parameter is significant on the at the jumps. Now come to the conclusion. So on the basis of the present study, following observations can be concluded. First is, as we can see that all the field quantities are vanishing in the bounded region. So it means we can say that our magnetothermoelastic waves are propagating with the finite speed. And the second thing, change in the magnetic field intensity changes the values of the profiles of all fields, temperature, displacement, and stress. And we can see, as already we have seen that displacement and stress field are most effective as compared to the conductive temperature style. And a remarkable conclusion can be noticed that the profiles of non-conductive temperature, displacement, and stress vanish earlier. Okay. The changing thermal conductivity remarkably influences the distribution of conductive temperature, stress, and displacement, and the effect is visible at the jumps. Displacement and stress profiles are affected more significantly with the change in the thermal conductivity parameter, and stress profiles suffer from the discontinuities, but conductive temperature and displacement fields are observed to be free from discontinuities. So, it is believed that the present investigation will help the researchers working in the area of wave propagation. And these are the references. Thank you. I have done my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Rakhi. So, is there any questions from the audience? Okay, if not, so let's thank the speaker again. So, thank you, Rakhi. Now,
Thank you, ma'am.
we will stop this session. So,